Hello fish fools, Jeff here. So this is my 10-gallon peppered Corydoras and wild guppy tank. So I just did a water change last night after having not done so in quite a while. And it was looking pretty gross. It still is, but I mean a lot less by comparison. I mean there's still a lot of debris, detritus just floating around. But this tank did have a lot of Java moss just and subwasser tang clustered together, filling up most of the tank. I pulled most of it out last night, just left this clump in here. But when I was getting thick like that, just all the Java moss just kind of accumulates a lot of debris. But now, just with all this open space, I can see all the Corydoras, which is cool, and they're looking great, nice and active. There is 10, so I started with 6, and they spawned, laid eggs, and some babies hatched out and grew. I was showing this tank. There was a stretch there I was showing this tank quite a bit when they were spawning often, and I collected eggs and put them in a breeder box, and some of them grew in the breeder box, and apparently some of them grew just hatched out on their own outside. So yeah, so from the original 6, now there's 67% more. There's 10 in here. You can still kind of see some are a little smaller. Ones that would have been born in here, and then there's still the big adults. But now with the space, it's nice to, just to watch them. I think I'm going to try to keep it more like this. I mean that was really the intent all along, was just to keep like a cluster over here in an open space, but it just grew so much. But yeah, I had neglected this tank for a bit after giving it a lot of attention when I kept seeing them spawning. But as I mentioned in my previous video, I was fostering kittens, and that took up a lot of my time, and I ended up not paying so much attention to my mini aquariums, but trying to get back in the swing of it. So I did the water change last night. And when I was doing that, I found several dead guppies. Unfortunately, they were just kind of tangled, like carcasses tangled in the Java moss. So I'd end up doing an 80% water change. But hopefully that'll get things back on track. The Corydoras didn't seem to be affected. These are, I would say, of all my Corydora species, these peppered Corydoras are probably the hardiest. Because I've had, however long I've had them, I haven't had any. None of them have died where I would get like Julie Corydoras, or they weren't as resilient. I'd find some die off here and there. Even my emerald green Corydoras, which until I got these, I thought were the most resilient, but I have had a few die off, but still none of these have, and they have spawned quite a bit. I mean, if I maybe paid more attention and raised the eggs better, I probably could have had even more, but I'm pretty psyched to even just have to go from 6 to 10. In this tank, I actually used to have those emerald green Corydoras used to have pea puffers too. This used to be my wild guppy and pea puffer tank. Long before I had peppered Corydoras, and the pea puffers, they were awesome. They were doing great for over a year. It wasn't really until I moved that I lost, or shortly after I moved, that I lost the last one. And I'd like to get pea puffers again, and I do plan to do so. It won't be in this tank. I'm going to probably do some rearranging with my other 10-gallon tanks. But yeah, the emerald green Corydoras that were in here, I combined those with emerald green Corydoras from another 10-gallon tank, and I got a bunch in my 6-foot tank, my 84-gallon tank. But the guppies in here, these wild guppies, these were from still the same ones from the original colony that I've had for over 3 years, maybe 4 years now, I'm not sure. But that population has risen and fallen. It had kind of dwindled down some, and then, you know, with the emerald green Corydoras when they were spawning, and the guppy population was rising again when all the Java moss was providing cover. Until just now, or maybe, even just looking here, I'm not seeing any of the bigger adults, but there's still enough to keep the population going. And so you can still see a lot of debris floating around in here. One of my recent orders from Chewy.com, I got a little internal filter intended for like a 10-gallon tank. I'm thinking I'm going to just put it in here just to help polish the water. I'll do that in the next water change. When I did this last one, I did 80%. But still, I couldn't really gravel vac using like a Python siphon. Just in this tank, it's low to the ground, can't really get the gravity effect to do it. This is probably going to be, just having done this in I have another tank. This is one that's on one of these dual tank racks. Here's another 10-gallon above it with Java moss and water sprite, and then there's duckweed in here. My next water change is I'm going to be cleaning out, fixing up that tank, but yeah. I won't be doing this again where I don't like tanks that are loaded to the ground. I mean, this is sort of like I would consider one of my display tanks, but just when it's low like this, it's not good for display purposes. And just for accessibility and water changes, it's not that good. I'm thinking of maybe just setting up another rack and moving this or the fish in it. Because if I'm going to, I'll still make use of the double rack, but I think the tanks that I keep on the bottom will be maybe just for plants or snails or more project type tanks, or just excess tanks, just where to dump in plants and stuff that not for display purposes anyway. But pepper Corydoras are looking cool. Nice color in that wild guppy. You know, they're not fancy, but still cool. I mean, some of them, as I mentioned in some other videos, like the wild guppy colony, some of them have kind of evolved with fancy traits. Not full colors, but like longer fins on some of them. Yeah, alright. Well, that's it for now. And remember, I'm Jeff, and I enjoy fishies. Thanks for watching.